Hey guys, today I would like to talk about one of the most impressive cameras that I've had the privilege of using and actually owning this year. And the camera is none other than the iPhone 15 Pro. Let's talk about this little beast right here. Now, to give you a little bit of background about what I'm using this camera for, it's not for professional work yet. That video is coming. For now, this is more for whenever you want to do some really high quality home videoing or just documentation, or if you are working on a project and you don't have your camera, you can just whip this thing out and get some pretty incredible shots. Now, I've used a lot of iPhones in the past for professional work and is more in the capacity of like a time lapse for a travel documentary, or maybe a cut shot of something, or like I said, if I didn't have my camera around and I just needed this moment where the crowd was going nuts, I can get away with one or two shots from an iPhone in the past. This, however, the iPhone 15 Pro has blown my mind. And let me give you a little bit of a story and lead into what I use this for recently, which I'm very happy with. So my family, my wife, my mom, my kids, my brothers, we all like to go on different trips. And one of those types of trips we go on is cruises, cruise lines, where we go get on a ship and go to South America or the Bahamas or something like that, and just hang out. Now, to me, you can buy all those fancy souvenirs and different things in these countries, and that's great, but something that you'll never lose, something that your kids can look back on, is a video. And as a filmmaker, obviously I'm gonna document these trips. Now, in the past, I have used the DJI Osmo original, actually, with a set of NDs, which I can do a video on this if you guys are interested. Just let me know in the comments. And it's worked pretty good. It's got a gimbal, it's 4K 60, you can even shoot in like a Cine RAW format, and I'll put a video on screen right now of one of our previous trips that I used on it, and it looks pretty good. However, this year I just thought I wanted to make something a little more high quality, so I ended up taking with me the Canon EOS R6 Mark II, which is a beast of a video camera and photography camera. The image that comes out of this is insane, and if you're curious about how that image looks, just go to my channel and watch any of our wedding films, especially in the past year. Those were shot on this camera, and it's just the crispiest looking image. I will fly this on a Ronin. In fact, I'm gonna do a video soon on my wedding setup, so be looking for that. But I took that camera, and funny enough, I never took it out of my camera bag, nor did I didn't even take this. But I never took the EOS R6 Mark II out of the bag. Just didn't have a reason to. When you're on the ship or you're on a trip like that, time is kind of crucial, and it's just, especially with 3 kids, it's a lot to manage when you're trying to get out a DSLR, put on your ND filter, make sure the camera doesn't get damaged or anything. You can't just lay it down like you can your phone. But when we first got on the ship, I got some shots of the port in New Orleans, and I was just, even on my phone, I was just blown away by the image. And so in a natural state, without even thinking about it, I just never went to my room to grab the camera ever. I always found myself pulling this out, and there's several different modes that you can shoot in on this, and we're going to talk about that, and we're actually going to watch the long form video that I made on this camera, and I can kind of identify what shots belong to which mode. But that being said, I did not have any outrigging gear for this. I did not have the ND pack that I probably need, or I definitely need to get that smooth motion blur. I did not have a cage on it. This was just straight out of my pocket every day, filming with it. And for home videos, especially if you're watching this video and you're not a videographer, it's not your livelihood, and you just want to make some high quality videos, this is it. This is it. I would make this your phone and camera in one, because the footage you're going to see here, to me, is really, really impressive, and we're going to get into it right now. Now, to talk about the modes very quickly, there's your regular video, which is stunning, and it shoots 4K 30 or 60. And in that you can go to like a 0.5 width of the lens, which gives you kind of like a 16 or 14 millimeter fill. You can go 1x, which is just the normal focal length, which in the video mode probably gives you the best quality video. The 2x mode, which is still really good video, gives you 2x zoom on that. And then what's so impressive on this is the 5x zoom, which I don't know what they're doing in here, but looks better than any of the other modes for some reason. For some reason, the 5x looks the best to me. And we're gonna look at some shots and why I believe that. But other than that, you have a new mode, relatively new mode, which is cinematic. And what this does is it finds the focus point and then it blurs everything else out, essentially. Not really using like the traditional method, using just a regular lens that has a aperture which lets light in, which you can stop down within D to achieve that same bokeh. This is basically, let's just, for lack of a better term, using AI to create your bokeh. But I found that it's really good, especially when your scene is well lit, which you'll see in some of these shots moving forward. But that mode is really awesome. They also have still the time-lapse mode, which I didn't use at all on the trip, but time lapses really don't change, and I think they're using, the quality of the video matched with the time lapse is going to make it better than any other iPhone that you probably ever used. But yeah, we've got my iPad right here. I'm going to pull the video up and we're just going to watch it in real time. If you don't want to watch it with me while I talk about it, there is a link in the description of the actual video on my family channel, which is just a channel I set up to basically like document my kids' life in a way. No intentions of growing that or anything, it's just there, but you can watch that there. And then also I did a mock commercial, Carnival commercial, which I'll also analyze at the end of this video. If you're not interested in the analyzation of this stuff and you just want to see the quality, you just want to see the videos, go down in the description, watch there. Please do subscribe to this channel though, so that you don't miss any videos about cameras or other things we're doing. But without further ado, let's watch this video and see how this phone performs. Alright guys, so for this demonstration, make it easier for me to edit this video quickly, we're just going to play the video straight through without me stopping or anything. And I'll kind of quickly tell you what mode I was using and basically what I think about the shot, etc, etc. But without further ado, 1, 2, 3, and we're playing. Cool. Okay, so this opening shot is like my favorite shot. It's with the 5x zoom, looking at another cruise ship. Here you've got your standard 0.5 on the regular video mode, which I think captures the city pretty good. This is a 1x shot. And you can kind of tell the difference between the super wide. The super wide is where you get a little more artifacts and graininess in that video-y look. But, for the purposes of capturing a moment, it's totally fine. I'm not trying to be overly cinematic with this, even though I'm not going to be mad if I get some nice cinematic shots. Again, 0.5, just super wide, overlooking New Orleans. There's some really good 5x stuff coming up in a minute. Again, this is just regular video mode, which I still think looks amazing. Like, it's going to kick the butt of anything else that you're going to get as a consumer, and just get this high quality video. Which to me is just going to trigger memories of your family, and it's priceless, I guess you would say. This is my kids just dancing around, walking around, still 0.5 I believe, just trying to really get the scope of the environment, because it is pretty cool, like when you're just out there going past New Orleans. Now this is all 5x stuff, and this blows my mind. Watch the video in 4K or HD, and you'll really see like the detail it's capturing. This is some of the worst video, even though it's still good, because it is in low light and I'm using that 0.5 mode. I don't recommend that if you can get away with it, but this is in the room, the cabin if you will. Pretty good, really well lit, very tungsten, but it is well lit, so that looks great. Splash pad shots, 0.5, that's the super wide look, and it's cool because I can whip pan from one kid to the other kid, and the colors in this thing look pretty good. And I'm not shooting, by the way, on any Blackmagic software, any third-party like camera software. That's the 5x zoom right there. I'm shooting this just on the regular mode. I am gonna do some stuff with the Blackmagic software, but just for this trip, I honestly wasn't planning on using this camera. So I didn't download any software, I didn't order any like special gear or anything. That's the 5x of my daughter running up this splash pad area. And the stabilization, guys, like that's me hand holding this thing at 5x. And actually I handheld this camera, or this phone rather, the entire trip. Anything you see is handheld, no gimbal. Somebody actually mentioned, hey, you should throw that on a gimbal. I would argue you don't need a gimbal. I didn't stabilize anything in post either. All right, so that's our first cinematic shot. You probably couldn't tell, but that umbrella was in focus and the background was out of focus. Try to get some cut shots of everything. That way you're not just looking at people the whole time. There's probably an art too of making like good modern home video. And this is kind of off the beaten path, right, of like the cinematic stuff we talk about, but I don't want to get like too bogged down in the weeds when I'm filming my family on how it looks or the cinematic quality of it. I just want to get it, and I want it to look good enough to like throw up on the 4K TV there and enjoy it. So this is all pretty low light. Now I am using the cinematic mode in a lot of this, like that shot. Maybe not that shot. This is all, I regret doing this too. I'm using the 0.5 in low light, and this is probably the worst part of the video in terms of the quality, is when they're doing the Build-A-Bear stuff. Still, in the grand scheme of things, like, who cares? If you're just a dad who wants to document stuff, this is great. I'm gonna overanalyze it because I am a videographer. I mean, that shot looks good, but see, I'm using cinematic there. When I'm using the cinematic mode, which I'm using there, there's the 0.5, it looks a lot more grainy, right? A lot more muddy, if you will. When I'm using the cinematic mode, the low light just appears better, I think, because you are getting that depth of field and that cinematic feel. And then with the wide, it just looks like I'm pointing a GoPro down, you know. That's some zoom stuff. The zoom stuff looks pretty decent, actually. Filling up that dinosaur there. Alright, so we're back in the hallway here. That's the wide mode. That's the cinematic mode. Cinematic mode. I really like that shot, actually. Both these shots. And you can see it's auto exposing because I just didn't want to have to fool with anything. I just wanted to be able to whip it out. And that's what I actually did. Like, I didn't plan to film on this camera at all. And I just found myself, oh, let me just whip out the phone each and every time, to the point where I never even pulled out my camera. Not even one time, y'all. This is the boys dancing in the lobby. This 0.5. All right, so here we go. In Rotan, that is the 5x zoom, and that shot is just beautiful. This is full of beautiful shots, Rotan was. Even the 0.5 there, with the really bright light, it looks fantastic. So we're walking through here, and anytime I'm walking, I am doing the 0.5 or the 1x at the most, because the stabilization is going to do better with a wider shot, which that's all cameras, it's not just this camera. Again, all 0.5 so far, all wide, let's just call it wide. There's my wife. Alright, so there's the 2x of the Jubilee. There's the 5x. Guys, this is like insane. I'm hand holding that too, I'm just kind of panning. I got a lot of cinematic stuff in here coming up, like right there you can see the depth of field, and because it's well lit, I just think it looks great. Even that, you can see the cruise ship is out of focus there, my daughter's in focus. Same here. Even though, I mean, the autofocus is good. It's not fantastic, but it's, man, for this kind of stuff, it's great. This is a 0.5 shot. It still looks good because it's well lit under there. My kid's going up this staircase here. This is a cinematic mode. You can see the background's blurred out. We went back to super wide just to get the scope of this area. 5x. Looks great. I like how you can see through there, like the islands in the background. 5X is really good for this POV stuff. This is like me and my daughter playing soccer. And for this stuff, I like the 5X. I'm not looking for like a super high quality. I'm just wanting to see action right there in front of the lens. There's little Hudson dribbling around. We've played soccer for quite a long time. This is all that 5X mode. Alright, so I got in the water with it, which I don't recommend. And this is all the cinematic mode. So you can see it's getting its focus and it's blurring out that background. And although I can look at it and say, yes, that is artificial, it's not bad artificial. Like, it generally looks good. And it does draw my eye to what's happening, and that's kind of the goal. And everybody else I've shown the video to has had nothing critical to say about it, or even technical to say about it. This is more cinematic mode stuff in the trees. Probably some of my favorite. Just the light, the color of everything, and you can see every now and again, you can see, especially on Hagen's glasses, where it's blurring the glasses out and it shouldn't be. But this is the first iteration of this, right? So like, how much better is this phone gonna get? Probably a lot better. 5X, kind of a walking shot, little bouncy. Cinematic mode. Just honestly, just when you're in South America, colors are better, right? Don't you guys think so? Another 5X shot. Like I said, the 5X works really good, the wide, but you have to be in well-lit areas. Of course, this is at sunset. These are some of my favorite shots coming up. I mean, guys, look at that. That's the 5X zoom, and it's just this beautifully compressed shot. Like I said, that was like my favorite shot right there. But these next like 10 shots, that's way up on the mountain. That's zooming in, and you're about to see a wide shot that compares to that. Look at, there's that ship. There's a wide shot, which looks good, but I can see the film grain in it, or the noise rather. There's all these are long lens shots. You can actually see 2 cruise ships off in the distance there. And the perspective is just amazing. That's a really good 5X shot. The light is perfect. Water looks beautiful. Okay, there's your 5X zoom, which is incredible. 5X zoom. I mean, look at that. That is insane for a phone. Another great shot right there. The zoom on this thing is nuts. All right, so we're back to the cabin, and here we've got Harley Joe and my wife eating, acting cray-cray. All cinematic. Everything you're seeing right now is that cinematic mode where it blurs out the background for you. I think we're getting ready to go. There's the cameraman. Yep, Belize City, Belize. Another beautiful place. Very indifferent place. Yep, so we're on the boat. Leaving the cruise ship. There's your 5X zoom. There's your cinematic mode of a really close-up, actually. And look, you could tell the quality drop as soon as I went to the wide. Even with the good light, you could tell. But for storytelling purposes, it's fine. It's great. For home movie purposes, it's Spielberg level. Flowers looking out the window of the bus. There's a cinematic mode of a moment. This is the wide. This is where I like the wide. Like, you get that almost Wes Anderson look when you're driving by places, and the jump cuts between those shots to me are cool because you're basically just jumping through time. Belize was interesting because yes, it is beautiful, especially like in the jungle. The city was slightly underdeveloped, underkept, kind of sad, but the people were really nice. So yeah, you're looking at all these wide shots are obviously the 5X, the 0.5X. This is the zoom while moving. And something that's interesting is with any of my other cameras, I would see like a ton of rolling shutter. I don't know, I don't want to say that it has a global shutter or anything, but it kind of acts like it does because I don't see any of that sideways tree stuff that I would normally see, especially with like the Canon EOS R or something like that, which has really bad rolling shutter. Still 0.5x, guy with a machine gun. I don't know, like I used to shoot everything on this and would just, and this like only does like a wide. You're not getting, I guess it does let you zoom, but I think it's all digital, whereas the iPhone has 3 different cameras on it. So all 0.5. Still all 0.5. No, that's cinematic mode, sorry. This is all 0.5. If you see me panning like into the trees, like this shot, this is one of my favorite shots, and it is with the wide mode. Hideous lens flares, in a way. They're just not flattering. Cinematic mode mixed with that zoom. Look at that. I'm standing way back and I'm getting the detail he's telling us about a plant there. When you're in the jungle or something like that, or an Aztec ruin, you want the scope as well as detailed shots, but that's why you're going to see in this a lot of wide shots, because I really want to capture the scope. And mind you, man, this thing is unintrusive. Like, most people probably didn't even know I was filming, because I would walk for a while and then I'd see something and say, oh, this would be a good wide shot, let me get that. And then, like right there, I would just get a tight shot, couple detail shots of everybody and what's going on, and then put it back in my pocket and keep walking. In fact, when I showed this to my mom, she was kind of blown away about how long it was and how much I had actually captured. It was like basically the entire trip. And I think the video ends up being 23 minutes long, so you're in for it, guys. You can also fast forward to anything else or just get off this video. So you're looking at all cinematic mode or zoom mode. That might be the 5x. This is cinematic mode while walking, which looks super stable and really good, in my opinion. That guy, that was a 5x zoom. You can see how far away they were right there. Again, cinematic while walking, super stable, looks really good, especially when he looks at us. This is the 0.5, and you can kind of see the stabilization pixel shift happening in the 0.5, which is actually a bummer because it looks good. It's just like if they can figure that out, it will be incredible. Cinematic, all cinematic mode, and the cinematic lens is probably around a 50mm, I would say. Excuse me, jeez. I was trying to hold that in. Alright, 0.5. Cinematic mode. A lot of times if you see me filming like nature, it's going to be in cinematic mode, especially like leaves and trees, branches. But you got to film some leaves on these trips. I think too we need to make a video on the art of like making good home videos, because too many people, I mean, just no fault of their own, are just filming the people, and even for long periods of time. Where you could just have a system where it's like, you get 10 seconds of these kind of shots times X, and then vice versa. And there's just like an art to like getting some cut shots, so you're not always looking at people. And even like our guide there, we don't know who she was, but she was super nice. I do remember her name, but like we didn't know her, but it's cool to have your guide in there. You can remember your guide. And yeah, maybe we'll make a video on like the art of good home video making. And then the art of putting it on a channel so you never lose it. That's another big thing. These are all cinematic, and I think they look great. It's insane that that's an iPhone. Without an ND filter, guys. Without an ND filter. So I'm sacrificing motion blur, but I just don't even feel like I'm sacrificing anything. People are picking up my trash right now, so if you hear that truck. Haha, this music is fire. Yeah, that shot's kind of cool at 0.5 because it is like this bouncing bus, right? As long as it forwards the story, I think you're cool. That's my stepdad. Buying bowls, shaking hands. Beautiful 5x shot from standing up on this pier where we ate some fantastic food, guys. Belize has some insane food. There was an iguana just hanging out. You'll see I go 5x on him. Also, I didn't shoot any of this in 4K. I had that option, but I just didn't. I wanted to get the whole trip without any headache of running out of space or having to dump footage on my laptop. Again, South America, it's just colors, man. Like, I'll take the colors. Why can't we be like that? I don't know why either. When I was down there, I was like, I want a lot of shots of these motorcycles. Like, that's the cinematic mode walking. Super smooth. Wide mode. Phone's right up at her face. Cinematic mode. I think this shot's really nice, actually. They were very tired at this point. I think everybody was tired. Cool wide shot. More wide shots. You know, it's kind of funny. I'll bring this up while we're in like this holding period, I guess. As videographers, we document so many things and so many things about other people and their lives if you do like documentaries and things like that. But we don't use our skills for our own family. And that's something that I am pretty vigilant about making sure I do, because why not? I have all the equipment, I have all the knowledge, I have all the power, like I should do it. So here's Cozumel, that's a 5x shot, which I thought was really good. There's a shot with the captain. These are all cinematic shots, cinematic. Again, for me, for home video purposes, the color is incredible. These lens flares didn't turn out bad. At least they didn't look all streaky like the other ones. That's all cinematic mode. I think those turned out really good. Those are cool shots. And I still haven't shot this with an ND, which I'm gonna do a future video. Cinematic mode, I'm gonna do a future video where I actually out-rig this thing with like proper ND filters and a cage and a microphone and stuff like that. But even without that, I'm over the moon about this video. There's a unique cut shot. Dynamic range is surprisingly good. Super high in contrast, obviously, being, you know, we're not shooting any log. But again, are we trying to overcomplicate with a home video? I think we overachieved with this. Oh, you saw the 5x of that little castle. That was kind of cool. A lot of these like shots of these lizards you'll see are 5x because I didn't want to get too close. I didn't know what kind of lizards these were. These were human attacking lizards. Here's some cinematic. This was a lot of cinematic mode. I think it all turned out great. Love it, love it. And guys, my phone will be laying on a towel, pick it up, get a few shots, put it down. It's not like I'm filming the whole time. Obviously, we stayed at this beach alone 5 hours. And you'll get like 2 to 3 minutes of footage here. There's yet another lizard. That one was actually massive. The stabilization's crazy. I'm just walking regular speed on these shots and not really doing a lot of stabilization in my knees or anything. A little bit, but not like I would with like a regular camera. And they just look fantastic. I didn't do any post stabilization at all, which is a really nice touch whenever you don't want the workflow of these videos to be long. And I think I probably edited this in about 2 hours, but I did it as I went. At the end of every day on the ship, I would kind of take some free time and dump the footage and maybe throw it on the timeline and pick out the best shots, you know, pick out the dailies if you will. And just kind of leave them on the timeline, do the same thing next day. And I had a separate timeline for each day. And then I would nest those and bring them into like a master project. Kind of just organization, no real purpose behind that. Although if I wanted to switch the days for any reason, I could just easily do that without having to grab a bunch of clips. I just grabbed one nested clip. Oh, here was a time lapse. I did do a time lapse. Just very briefly getting some clouds. This is cinematic mode and zoom mode. cinematic mode, cinematic mode. You can see some color shifting right there, but I mean, depends on, I mean, next one I probably will go hard. I'll have ND filters, I'll shoot on the Blackmagic, I'll do all manual focus. But for this, man, over the moon. This would not have been even close to possible with this camera, which I'll have a link to that video as well, so you can see the difference. You know, cruise ships are massive. If you've never been in front of one, it's actually kind of daunting, and I think those shots do as good a job as you could as in regards of conveying that, because it really does. You see the scope of it. That's watching a movie outside that night. This is probably second place for like the worst footage and the most video-y looking stuff is when we had the Dr. Seuss breakfast. And we are getting towards the end of this video now. But yeah, overall guys, like for a home video camera, even for a experienced videographer or cinematographer, this gets the job done. And you're not gonna be displeased in 10 years when you watch it. You're probably not even going to be thinking about what camera it was. You're just going to be enjoying the video. As opposed to like back in the day, we might have footage of us as 90s babies. The footage is not going to be that great. There's probably none of me. You know, that's just, you know, no fault of anybody. But that's just the way it was. But in today's day and age, you can use this right here and get some amazing footage. So let's look at one more video before we get off of this super long video. Sorry it's so long. So I thought it would be kind of fun to use that footage you just saw and pick maybe 10 to 12, maybe 15 shots that would make a decent mock commercial. Now you look at this and you can tell this is not a Carnival commercial, right? But it's a pretty good attempt in a 40 minute to an hour time span I spent editing it to come up with something. So let's take a watch. All right, it's playing. So you get some nice graphic text. You saw all these shots if you watched the rest of this video you're watching now. Really just shots in quick succession because you don't want to stop too long to notice the quality. But you know, even not as like a national commercial, I could see this playing on the ship on monitors, you know, during the day. Yeah, a little stinger commercial ad type thing. But anyway guys, I'm gonna cut this video because it's super long, but in a nutshell, I think that the iPhone 15 is remarkable, and I haven't even outfitted it yet with anything like NDs and a cage and things like that, which that video is coming. So if you are a cinematographer, or a videographer, I think it is a valid option when it comes to documenting your life or your family, or even if you just need a quick shot or a quick vlog, you can pull this thing out and it's very capable. If you are just a person out there who has not made this their profession and they just need to capture, you know, document their kids' lives or document their family's vacations, and you want to really impress your friends and family, I would say go with this camera, watch this video so you kind of know what all the different modes do. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you found any value, and be looking for future content very shortly. Peace.